wedding. Okay. So we are fully conscious. A couple of things that Simon's covered, but the hotel have asked me to cover 2 more things. So if you don't mind, I do need your attention for that. When we start dancing later on, if anything were to happen, I'd like you to follow the green signs, you know, out into the car park if there is a fire or something like that. And another thing that the hotel have asked me to mention is they will take no responsibility whatsoever for any damage or injury caused by Penny Walker. Those people, actually, I might want to revise this from the story I've just heard, but those people most in danger are males between the age of 14 and 95. If you go to the loo, try and go in pairs, don't get isolated. And if she does approach you with that weird look in her eyes that she has, you can shout, "Len, Len, for God's sake, help me." It probably won't work, but it's worth a try. Okay, so enough of the housekeeping, let's go on to the main event. And obviously the main event is Gemma Francis, aka Gemma Job, Booby Doo, Good Swimmers, wedding today. Okay, so Gemma, as you probably know, lovely girl, and has a little baby, 2 years old, 2.5 years of age. You know, very cute, lovely outdoor kid. I would make her go for a 2-mile walk every Sunday up to the park and back again, and she would pretend that she enjoyed it. And obviously those leg muscles will last you the rest of your life. But, you know, I'm glad that you were able to put up with it. Gemma would love to watch videos when she was a little girl. And, you know, you'll be there thinking, where is she, where is she? And you'd walk into the room, she'd be sat there in front of the television, and she would be watching Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh, her favourite, Pooh, Kanga, Piglet, Tigger, and all the other characters, and she would know them by heart. When Gemma was about 2.5-ish, we'd moved to Causden. We had bought our house in Causden. We didn't have a great deal of money at that stage. And it was coming up for Christmas. And I can remember very clearly that we turned to Gemma and said, okay, well, Father Christmas is coming soon. So can you tell us what you'd like to have for Christmas? And she sat there and she thought about it for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then she turned and she looked at me and she said, Dad, all I need is a new set of crayons. And that was summed it up really. She didn't have this big long list of everything that she wanted. A new set of crayons. And I can remember that as if it was yesterday. Okay? She's a very creative person. Very talented that way. And we still have a home to mats on our bedside table that we used that were the first thing that she produced when she was at school, with a lot of flowers painted on it. So great.
It's come all the way from New Zealand. I first met this guy a couple of days ago, in fact, when he just returned back to Gemma and Greg's on a trip to Liverpool. So I don't know not only where Greg got his name from, but where he got his bad taste in football teams from. Over to you, Greg.
Well, how do I follow something like that? Very difficult indeed. On behalf of my wife Sharon, myself and the rest of the Borragera family, we would like to welcome Gemma into the family and let you know how thrilled and happy we are that you're now part of our family. My wife and I, we first met Gemma in New Zealand, I think it was in March last year. I always think it's this year, but it's last year. They'd been jet lagged, they'd been traveling, and we arranged a bit of a barbecue, a drive with a lot of our friends. And despite the fact that they were jet lagged, we had people around and we had a fantastic evening. And I remember going to bed that night and saying to my wife, this is it. Yes.
Like the story.
Even he agrees. But honestly, we did. We got that feeling, like people have said before, like we had known Gemma for months, years. What a fantastic evening it was. So much so that the next day we had friends of ours phoning us and saying, what a lovely girl. You know, so we even had a couple of presents from people that had only met Gemma once. So that's what it was. We went to bed that night feeling really happy and content that we knew this day would happen. Greg's a very lucky man, I think, marrying into this family. We've been here 2 weeks now, and all we've experienced from the family is love, togetherness, happiness. And we feel happy, even though we're sad with Greg being in us being in New Zealand and him being here in London. We know that he has the support structure, not only from his family that he's fortunate enough to have here, but also from his new family. It's really, really tough for us. We decided to immigrate to New Zealand in 1995, 96, 97. Greg was finishing school. We thought it'd give him a better life. He went overseas to London just for a summer camp, and never ever returned. Sharon and I ended up in New Zealand, but I think we're really happy now. We're probably at rest with it that he's found his niche, he's found his family, and he has a support structure here. So we're very, very happy about that, as much as we miss him. It was not easy for Greg growing up. I was a single father at 5 years. Greg was 5 years old. It was very difficult, a demanding job. I was studying at the time. So I have to acknowledge a few people in my family that helped me, one of which fortunately is my sister Angie, who's here today. She helped me put him through school, do his homework, take him to sports, get him back home so I could pick him up in the evenings. And I think she's played a fantastic role in moulding him into what he is today.
You agree?
Also, I had another sister named Pat that stayed with me, which also helped me bring Greg up. So I'm very thankful for that. Greg's had some difficult times in the last 16, 17 years that he's been in London. And I also need to acknowledge the support structure that he's had here. Warren and Liv, thank you very much for all the support. Especially Gary and Sam, you've always been there for him. And I really want to say thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Greg, I'm very proud of you, of what you've grown into. Good strapping man, good career, fantastic person, very humble, very loving. So, I just did get one message from one of my sisters and brother-in-law that they've asked me to pass on to Greg and Gemma, wishing you all the best for a wonderful future together. Lots of joy and happiness. We're looking forward to meeting Gemma and the family in 2015. We welcome Gemma into the family. Lots of love from Silly and Richard and your South African family. So even though my wife and I will be returning back to New Zealand in probably about 10 days, I think we go with a very happy heart, knowing that Greg has such a loving family and a support structure. And anybody in this room tonight, and any friends, please, if you're planning to visit New Zealand, give my wife and I a call. Our house is open. I'd like to propose a toast to the two families. Cheers.
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 Well done, Greg.
Happy happiest man in the room. I didn't know Greg the last time Liverpool won anything. So it's been a long time since I see him this happy again. So over to the group.
Thank you, Simon. I always knew it was going to be sort of a hard act to follow, you know, when I heard obviously Jerry was speaking before me, but then when I heard my dad decided he wanted to have a few words, I always knew it was going to be a hell of a task to follow the two, you know, most important men in our lives. And I'd just like to say thank you and cheers to them for their amazing words. Cheers. I suppose, you know, it leads on nicely that I can start with, you know, basically how I came along and met the family that I've now, you know, become a part of this amazing family. I think it's always a daunting thing when you sort of proposed with the prospect that you're going to start meeting the parents and the family of you know, your partner. And I remember the first time meeting James and Jen. They were the first ones I had the pleasure of meeting, and after about 2 minutes of just, you know, like chatting, and I think everyone will back me up on this and say, you know, James loves a bit of a chat. After a while I just started thinking to myself like, wow, this, you know, this is amazing. It's someone I barely, you know, well, I don't know at all, but I had a sense of like a feeling of something, you know, like a familiarity of it, and, you know, the warmth I think I'm getting at basically that I felt the first time I met yourself and Jan, and, you know, from what turned out to be like a quick chat sort of thing, turned out to be about 15-20 minutes I think, you know, and it flew and it was amazing, and, you know, I was humbled and, like I said, just got the sense of warmth, and it was something that I will soon came to realise was a common theme in the whole sort of process of breaking into the family. And meeting, from what I thought at the beginning was, you know, medium-sized family, it's not. So, you know, next up basically was like, we'll have a curry, Sam and Sarah will be there, you know, and again, nicest, amazing, greatest evening, you know, again, just sat down thinking, you know, Gemma's blessed with these people in her family, but the more and more we went along, you know, Han and Matt, first time I saw them, be it in slightly saddest circumstances at the hospital, you know, when someone was poorly. But, you know, again, that said to me something like, you know, everyone's just there. Yeah, alcohol poisoning. It just, again, showed me the sort of, you know, everyone's there for each other. Everyone is always there and just cares about each other so much in the family. And as we moved along and it came to the big one, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Nana's birthday, you know, where I thought it would be a small, again, little gathering around Tim and Sue's house. But it was a case of, to that day, you know, I thought I was being thrown to the lions when I walked in. You know, it was like deja vu though, walking around, you know, everyone knows Tim and Sue's house. And you walk and you go through like a circle, through the lounge, through the kitchen and back out and into the lounge. So that's basically how I did it, I think, and I managed to meet everyone there on that day, and I've never felt such a welcoming, happy, strong unit of a family. And I think I said that to Jem countless times after every meeting, but particularly after that day, I think, because you know, it was a special day, I thought, and I grew to know everyone, obviously, even better over the years, and it's just, even though there's a Man United fan here and there, but, you know, sorry, yeah, Kate, yeah. But, you know, there's just such a bond in this family that's, you know, it does, you know, remind me a bit of my family as well, even though we would sometimes pull each other's hair out and stuff, but you know, there's nothing stronger than blood, and you can see it evident in the family here as well. But once I thought I had everything sussed and everything was, you know, done and dusted, there was Jerry and Tom. And then, you know, everyone kept saying to me, "So how are you feeling now? Are you okay?" You know. I remember Matt putting me aside one day, giving me a bit of a pep talk, saying he's alright. You know, when we did meet up again, it was 5 minutes of pleasantries, and then from then on, it was a great night out in London. Again, another curry. So you're going. My dad, who's never had a curry before, brought it to Matt. I'm sure the story's filtered through now. We'll take you out for one. Again, it was, you know, there was such a lovely sort of welcoming and feeling of like belonging almost. And again, like I said to Jem, a few days after that, I remember saying, you know, you're lucky enough that, you know, not only have a family that you surround yourself with, you know, that are amazing, but everyone close to you, you surround yourself with only amazing people. And, you know, that couldn't be truer with everyone in this room today. So I'd like to just say cheers to all of you, James side of the family. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. Cheers. I'd just like to thank everyone again here who's, you know, given up their time and all that to share this special day with us. People who have travelled near and far, we know how far some people have come from.